Well, hey there everyone. Welcome back to the Fix It Fox channel. My name is Rob Fox. For those of you who have been following me for a while, my subscribers, I love you guys. You're awesome. Thank you so much for continuing to subscribe and continuing to check out the channel, even though I've been absent recently. And also for those of you who aren't subscribers, but just enjoy watching the content, I've got some explaining to do. I've been missing for probably 4 or 5 months now. I haven't really been putting out any content, and I was explaining it before. I took my hiatus as some personal issues going on. It's really not that big of a deal, so thank you to all of you who were concerned and sent me messages. But yeah, I've just been really super busy. My business was extremely busy around that time, but at the same time, that I was mentioning, I was having some issues with getting content out. I had a property of mine that's out of state got flooded by a lake that the property is on. So I should say the house got flooded as well as the property. So it's about 10 to 12 inches of water inside the entire structure. So I've been trying to negotiate with contractors and getting out there myself to do a lot of the work, and just with all that additional work added to the already busy schedule I had, I just really had no time to film any content. But I've got things pretty much nailed down out there in that flooded property, and business has slowed down a bit, I think, with the economy and all, this being early to mid 2024 in the United States. So I've got some more time to film content. Today, as you saw, we are in an alley, and it's not the nicest alley in the area, and I'll show you what's recently happened. Yeah, this has happened to one of my regular clients. So today we're gonna take care of some of this graffiti that's shown up on this garage. I tell you what, this is not the first time that I've been out here removing graffiti. Well, actually painting over graffiti. It's just easier to do that on this particular garage. I've probably been out here a handful of times anyways. So yeah, if you're just here to watch me get a project done, sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. And if you're here to determine or to get some ideas on how a pro takes care of graffiti, well, grab your tools and let's get to work. All right, it's been about 10 minutes since I put the first coat of primer on. I'm going to put the second coat of primer on now because the spray paint is showing through the first coat pretty bright, and I want to make sure that I get as much of that brightness knocked down so I don't have to put too many coats of the actual paint on over the primer.
Have a good day.
You too. I think this is about the third time I've been out here since you guys moved in. And I'm always doing this one here.
Nothing on this one, huh?
Nope.
That's what I noticed too. I'm like, alright, that's cool.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who lived here before, but
Yeah, maybe they're into that gang life.
yeah.
All right, so you'll see that I'm using a smaller roller. This is, I believe, like a 6-inch roller with a 3/8 inch nap. The reason I'm using this smaller one versus the larger one is because in order to get into these little corners of the decoration, you need a smaller end. I've tried doing it with a larger roller, and of course an airplane's going over right now. But it seems to be a little more difficult to get it into the corners. This is a little more agile, a little more nimble. So that's why if you're doing a garage like this with these decorative panels, you'll probably want to use a smaller roller as opposed to a larger one. You know, I should also mention that when you're doing these types of panels, because there's so many edges and whatnot, you'll often get a pooling of paint in some of the corner areas, and so just kind of keep an eye out as you're continuing to paint to see if there's any drips forming, and if there are, while the paint is still wet, just run your roller over them and kind of smooth them out and get rid of those drips. Otherwise, once they dry, you know, it looks really bad, and they're kind of there to stay unless you scrape them off with a knife and sand it all down and then repaint it. What I think I'm going to do now is grab a paintbrush and detail the edges around the entire garage door. All right, so got all the trim areas cut in with the hand paintbrush, and now we can just wait a few more minutes for everything to dry, because as you can see, you can still see some of the old graffiti showing through the new paint because it's a light colored paint. So we're probably gonna have to put another a second coat on it, but we're only gonna put a second coat over the areas that had the graffiti, the spray paint on it, because the other areas obviously don't need a second coat. It's the same color paint this time as the original paint color. And what I'm going to do now is paint this brown area that had some white paint on it. It's actually primer from a previous time when this property was hit with graffiti, and the owner didn't know what color the paint was, so we just decided to leave it for this time, knowing that we'd probably get hit with graffiti again. So I'm going to paint this now while the main doors are drying. Shouldn't take too long. This is Southern California. It's nice and dry, lots of sun, so it should only take a few minutes more until it's dry and ready to receive a second coat. So let me get this painted in the brown. We'll get on with the rest of the day. I don't know if that color is going to match exactly with the existing paint, so I think I'll just go ahead and paint the rest of this column. All right, that looks good. All right, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but if you get up close, you can. There's still some graffiti that's showing through the first coat of paint and the 2 coats of primer. So if you ever have the choice and you're in a graffiti-prone area, you probably want to go with a darker color on your exterior buildings, because then it doesn't take as many coats and you can save yourself costs, labor costs. And probably materials cost as well. So I'm going to go over this second time. So 2 coats of paint and 2 coats of primer, and that should take care of it. I'm just going to run the roller over the areas where the graffiti was or is, and we don't need to worry about the rest of it. So let's get to it. Hey, boss, good. All right, I think we finished. That's a wrap. Thanks once again for checking out the Fix It Fox channel. Today, as you saw, we got rid of some graffiti on the side of a garage. We put a couple coats of primer on, and we did a couple coats of paint. It's really all there is to it. One thing I should mention is that before I decided to film this, I actually started by brushing off the garage with a broom and got all the dust and the dirt that was, had collected on it over the past 6 months or whatever it's been since I last painted it. If you have a garage that's extremely dirty, like it hasn't been painted in a long time, or it's like a wood garage as opposed to this aluminum, you probably want to power wash it first, or at the very least get a sponge with some soapy water and rub it down and then hit it with the hose. Once it dries completely, then you can get to primering it and painting it, because if you do leave that dust on there, the paint's going to roll over the dust, and if it's a light colored paint, the dust will discolor the paint. But even worse, because the paint won't be able to get a complete grip on the surface underneath, it'll begin to peel and lift off where it's come into contact with the dust. So make sure you properly prep your garage doors before you begin to paint them. All right, as I said, again, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your support. If you haven't hit that like button yet because you haven't thought of it, please go ahead and click it for me. It gives me support. It helps the algorithm. It just does great for my channel. And if you'd like to subscribe because you like this kind of content, hey, please do so. And we'll see you next week. All right, bye-bye.